Dawson to our podcast. We're so excited to have you with us, especially on, we were saying, weren't we, a gorgeous autumn day. The light and the colours outside are fantastic, and we've dragged you into a dark studio to chat to us. So we're really grateful. Thank you.
No worries.
And we were talking as well about, we've just seen your bus.
I know, it's exciting, isn't it? I know, I'm really excited about my bus. I only saw it on Wednesday. It was the first time I saw it. It's big and it's bright and it's colourful. So if you see it, you have to snap it, a picture of it, and send it in. We're running a competition. So it's on service somewhere around the city with big run with it signs and colours. So yeah, if you haven't seen it, please have a look.
I'll have to keep an eye out. And
you will.
I'll send you a photo.
It is because it's a double decker. I think that's what makes it. It looks
massive.
It looks so big.
And the colours are so vibrant, it really stands out.
Yeah, we have a really good, there's a friend of ours, well, she works for me actually, and her husband does a lot of our design work. So it's as in charities, it's not what you know, sometimes it's who you know. So he's done a great job at designing it. And yeah, we only had it wrapped. It was wrapped last Tuesday and it was launched last Wednesday morning.
I just can't believe there are companies out there that wrap buses, but I guess there will be.
Well, I suppose it's just like wrapping a car.
Yeah.
But if I'm honest with you, I didn't realise it was that quick a thing. You could just be in one day, just put basically, someone can design it and it can just be wrapped. I don't know where it happened or who did it, but yeah, no, it's brilliant. It is really good. We're very pleased with it.
So tell us about Run With It. How did it start?
So Run With It started in 2018, and it started really on the back of an initiative that was called Playing for Success, which was a central government funded initiative. Playing for Success basically had about 140 odd centres across the country, and the background to that was improving standards in maths and English for our young people across the country by taking them at the end of a school day, sending buses to schools across the country and saying, would you like to go to your local sports club and do a little bit more maths and English? But the power of the sport was the draw for kids. You know, if they can go to their local, see where their sports go in the change rooms, pitch side, behind the scenes. So it worked really. They piloted it at 3 clubs and it grew very much to all sports, really. I mean, football was obviously where the pilot started because football's very powerful, but it ended up being at rugby, cricket, ice hockey. And that would actually, it was that draw, that environment, that powerful thing that made the children at the end of a full day at school go, oh, I'm going to go do a bit more maths and English, because it was the environments that was the draw. But as everything, when governments change, funding goes. I was lucky enough to be part of Playing for Success through my university. And then when they had a Playing for Success centre here in Hull, when the stadium was built back in 2002, they launched a Playing for Success centre. And luckily, again, a friend of a friend knew I was very passionate about learning outside of a traditional classroom. So I worked on Playing for Success here in Hull. And then when it went, I was quite adamant that this kind of work can't stop, especially for our children in this city and the area, really. We were in the top 8 for impact across 140 centres. Yeah, so when the NFER came and analysed our work, that's the kind of impact we were having. So for me, I had to try and keep something going in the city because, when you've got that reputation, it works, the brand is successful. For it to have just gone would have just been really sad for our area, really. But it's not easy to start a charity, but yeah, we did. And we launched it as Run With It, changed the name, launched it as Run With It. But really, the principles behind it are very similar still today. It's not necessarily at the end of the school day. It's during the school day now, and we've grown a really good reputation. So, obviously, we're not just at sports centres anymore.
And I really like the way you've taken that innovative approach to learning and you've turned it into a fully fledged charity, which is quite a thing to do, because even starting a small charity right from scratch, it's challenging. And how did you find the process of starting it from scratch and with the Charity Commission?
Yeah, I needed help, really. I'm not going to lie, because I was just a teacher that was passionate about being in front of children. And it is a bit like starting up a business. And it's a bit daunting and a bit scary and you don't really know. So you have to ask for help. And I think, there's amazing charities out there. I did, and I was lucky enough to have 360 accountants supporting me with the process. The Smile Foundation, which are fabulous at supporting charities in the city, and other people, supported me with that. And it was a team effort, and I needed people to guide me on that process. And it's not a quick thing either. But don't turn away when you're daunted by it, because I think that's just a lot of that can be jargon that you might not be familiar with, but there's people to help.
And I think, how did you go about building a trustee board? Because that's a concept that's unique to charities, isn't it? Having a volunteer board of trustees that oversees the organisation.
It's quite a challenge in itself, finding the right people, isn't it?
It is. And if I'm honest, at the beginning, it was people I knew. It really was. Because I knew that that's harder for them to say no. And you need so many to start the charity, and I think you can change that, but you need to get up and running. And it's a lot easier at the beginning if you're familiar with those people. Yeah. And also, I have to say that a lot of those people that were involved with me believed in what I was doing. And I think that's really important. They didn't just come and say, oh, you know, but they needed to understand my passion for it as well. So I thought that was really important, and they understand what I wanted to do with the charity. So, yeah, be brave, ask, and try and stick with people you know, because it's harder for them to say no.
But it's having people that you know you can rely on as well, and have those conversations with.
And I think a lot of people are sometimes scared to be a trustee because they don't really understand.
Yeah.
And they feel it's a massive which it is. I'm not saying it isn't a massive responsibility, but it's the unknown that people say no because they don't really understand or know what that is,
what does
isn't
it mean?
it? Exactly.
What's my role? What
Absolutely.
Do I need to contribute? Yeah.
So you just need to reassure people, don't you, that we can help. And again, there's support for trustees.
We do a lot of trustee training in terms of helping trustees to understand the role and responsibilities, but how to translate that in practice.
Yeah.
Because there's so much to the role that people don't realise. It's not just turning up every so often to a meeting, is it, and being remote in a meeting room.
It's the worst thing you can be as a trustee.
Remote.
If I'm totally, And I think there are people like that. I think we have to acknowledge that some people do think they can turn up, sit around the table, not say very much, and really you need to be far more than that. And actually you'll get so much more reward for being
so much
like
more
that.
interesting
Absolutely.
being in a meeting.
Who wants to go? We don't have the time, do we?
No.
I wouldn't want to go and sit around a table
No.
and just not have an impact.
One of the things Andy Barber said, and he was on our first episode, was value your time. Because if you value your time, you'll make the most of it when you're in that meeting. Because why are you there?
Yeah.
You're there for your knowledge, your experience, your insights. You're there to contribute to the debate and discussion, because without people doing that, how do you know you've made the right decision?
And you need to be accountable, because that's the purpose of life. And this is not a role where you're kind of doing something because but you've chosen to be a volunteer for something. Why on earth would you go and sit there and not feel accountable and that you've made a difference when you leave a meeting? Or just being involved. I'd like to think all of my trustees today definitely... then they should be able to answer the phone when I ring them. I should be able to go, I need your help. I need a favour. I need you to do this. And that's really important, that they're able to say yes to your asks. Really, really important. And they will get far more worth from it. And I think some of my trustees are still with me today. They started in 2018. And I think the reason they're still with me today is because they're actively involved. And they're busy, but... They enjoy, they get some reward, they've grown with it, they've met new people, it's been something different to their everyday life or job. And that's really when you get a lot of value from being a trustee.
It's a huge learning curve being a trustee, because I first joined a board when I was around 25, 26, and we're speaking to Ollie Burdett, trustee of Tigers Trust, about that, because he's a next generation trustee. Yeah. And he said it's taught him so much already in the role, and he feels he's developed so much.
Yeah. I think you do, because it's a different group of people from all different walks of life. Whereas if you think about it in your everyday life of family and work, it's very familiar. Yeah. Where stepping into a board of trustees is going to really grow you in so many different ways, because there's people from all different industries, all different backgrounds, potentially very different ages, hopefully, and Ollie will bring a youth element to the Tigers Trust, which will be great for Ollie. So, yeah, I think that's the thing. It develops your skills, your skill set, your communication, all sorts of things. So it's brilliant to be a trustee.
Being able to think differently, isn't it? It's really different to the commercial profit-making sector.
Definitely.
And you constantly have to be ahead of the game, really, with charities.
And mission-oriented, even though you need, as you say, to operate and think like a business, because you need the income, but it's about the mission, isn't it? And sometimes it's making use of the resources that you have as well. You never knew you were getting a bus, did you?
No, I didn't know I was getting a bus.
But you engaged a fundraiser for the first time.
Yes, we did. We've employed a fundraiser just this year, Alison. And again, that was a bit of, those brave decisions we talk about, don't we? We spoke about it before when we've chatted. Being brave, it's so easy to play safe in this sector. And I'll be honest, I think I did it for a little while at the beginning. I did, and better not. But what if? I think you've got to completely change that mindset. In fact, Andy Barber was one of the people that was very good for me at saying, think bigger, take risks, do different things. And he was really good at, and those advice from other people that have been really successful in the sector are really... So I've had to be more entrepreneurial, think differently. Employing a fundraiser is one of them. Can we afford a fundraiser? Maybe not, I don't know. But will that fundraiser maybe hopefully bring a lot of funds into the charity? Yeah. Will it get the brand out? Absolutely. Will somebody who can just focus on fundraising instead of all the other hats you have to wear as a director, take that one away and just come in and think of new ideas, fresh ideas? Definitely. And it's been absolutely brilliant having, and just somebody fresh coming into the team and thinking
that
differently.
Innovation. And I think that's what distinguishes the really successful charities from the ones who just, I don't like to use the word plodder because they're all so valuable, but the ones that are really successful and have really transformed communities are the ones where, as you say, some really difficult decisions have had to be made, some brave decisions, but it's led to real innovation and change. And I think that's what distinguishes charities from the commercial sector. But giving boards that power to feel they can make those difficult decisions.
Definitely.
Because sometimes we can all get, as a lawyer, we can be extremely risk averse.
Yeah.
The worst kind. And you're telling trustees all the time about your legal duties, your responsibilities. And it can make boards very risk averse.
It can sound quite negative as well.
It can sound very negative, can't it?
It can, I know. Yes. I think I'm really lucky in that my chair, who's been with me now for about 2.5 years, he grew his own business. So he's got that skill set of having to be brave, take brave decisions and risk, to be able to get where he's got today. I mean, don't get me wrong, I have to slow him down sometimes. I think he'd have run with it all over the world. But so I do have to go, wait, well, can I do one thing at a time? But it's been brilliant for me because his backing as a chair to go, well, why can't we just do this? Well, why don't we just do that? Well, just do with it. And I'm like, really? And he's like, absolutely, Lisa. We've got to try and... What I've realised is he's kind of going, we can do this, we can do that. And do you know what? Even if we only do 25% of all his ideas, we're growing in a different way and being innovative by him just pushing me and challenging me and the team. So he has been really good at that. And I think your chair being like that's really important, actually, really important.
Having an effective chair makes a huge difference in an organisation. But I think as well, an effective chair makes sure that the board, but also the CEO, has the proper framework in place for that decision making. Because we've said before the importance of things that sound really elementary and don't sound important. An agenda for meetings, a good agenda.
Really important.
Good quality minutes with clear
100%.
action points, what decision was made, accountability. If you have those frameworks, you should feel more confident to sometimes make more difficult and challenging decisions because you can evidence, well, what did you take into account when you made that decision? Because often people are so afraid of, well, what will the Charity Commission say if all this goes wrong? What will people say? But as long as you can demonstrate that you acted properly and reasonably and acted in accordance with your duties and the information that was available to you at the time, and you've got the minutes to back that up, it's highly unlikely the Charity Commission is going to come in and say, why, with the benefit of hindsight, did you do that?
And really, those things I think are important because we, you look at the minutes at every meeting and that's where your accountability to all your trustees, that they're not just sat around a desk, because we go, right, well, we'll say Johnny, because I haven't got a Johnny on my board. So we'll say Johnny, in the last set of minutes, you said you would action. Did you do this? Did you speak to this person? Were you able to do this? And you can look back on that and then go, did you do that? If you don't have any of that, that conversation gets lost, and and it's really important that you do that. And actually, my chair of trustees is very. One of the things he said to me right at the beginning was like, people aren't going to come and sit around a desk and do nothing. If you're a trustee, you're going to have jobs to do and things to do, and that's really important. So he's been really good at it. But it has to come from the chair, I think, to challenge them all. I do, It's
setting those expectations and making people know what's expected of
Definitely.
them. Because the first time I walked into a room as a trustee, I had no idea what was expected of me, and it was really daunting. And I think it was a huge learning curve. And I think as well with engaging a new board and bringing new people in, well, people get disillusioned, don't they? If meetings aren't interesting, if they're not actively involved, it's dull.
That is run with it and what we deliver. That's the whole point of run with it. It's taking them out of the classroom where for some individuals it isn't active and it is dull. And run with it is all about that. You know, changing it out, making it, like you said, people have a purpose, they have a voice, they're involved. And that is how we educate. That's how we feel that we make a difference. And that's exactly the same with the Board of Trustees. Like I said, if they're not spoken to, if they're sat there for half an hour and their voice hasn't come, then evidently they're going to be disengaged. And that's not helpful to anybody, is it really? So
another theme we've seen as well when we spoke to Ollie from Tigers Trust is how sport, and I'm changing tack here, but
that's all right.
Sport is so much more than just the sport itself, isn't it? And it can be used in such an imaginative way, no matter what ability someone's at, but you use it to help engage children with learning.
We do. Yeah, well, we use a variety of different things, but sport is a main part of Run With It. Yeah, because we're based across. Well, actually, we're based at the MKM Stadium now, Hull KR with the rugby, which is rugby league, but we also use rugby union and football out at Bridlington, and we're also delivering projects now at Grimsby Town and Scunthorpe United. So you can see how across the region these environments are really influential to so many people. Even if you're not sporty yourself, I think everyone can understand the power of a sporting environment, that competitive edge, that resilience, and all the different things that we've spoken about before. So I think to educate people in that kind of environment, there's a massive, you can really shift people. You can really
taking it out of the classroom,
definitely,
and putting it in a different context. Because when we spoke to you previously, you talked about that a lot, about changing the environment, and that can have a huge impact.
I think there's two things that make Run With It incredibly successful. Our environments that we work in, they're so inspirational, so different, and we can apply real life context. Everything that we do, we're not doing anything different to what the young people need through school life. We're just changing it up and doing it differently, real life context with a purpose. And I think the way that we deliver that is really important. The team of delivery, my staff are amazing people who, and I'll say this so many times to people, if they don't buy into the charity and if they don't think like we think as a board or as a director like myself, I thoroughly believe in it. I've actually believed in it since I was 19 years old when I first did some work at university in this kind of way. And you have to believe in it, and you have to. But we also love engaging young people and being able to think differently and with a bit of freedom, to educate with freedom and have impact. So that's really important. But then at the same time, 2 head teachers sit on my board of trustees to make sure and oversee that everything we deliver is in accordance with the national curriculum and supported by that. So
it's that connection, isn't it, between that, the thinking about it in an innovative way, but that common thread that runs through from the board all the way through to your staff, to your volunteers, and ultimately to the people who benefit. Yep. Did you say that you like to have your mission statement? Do you have it up on the wall?
It's really funny. We just wrote. We did some staff training. I struggled to get all the staff together because, as you can see, geographically we're spread out a little bit. But our kind of start of our financial year is at the beginning of September. So I always say the 1st of September for me feels like the 1st of January. So start of the new. I think a lot of parents can relate to that. It's like everyone's got fresh new uniforms on. It's the start of another year. So we gathered everyone to do a bit of staff training, and actually one of the first things we did was kind of not rewrite our mission statement, but everybody was involved in what they think Run With It does. So we started off by writing it individually. What do we think? In a big sentence, what is Run With It? Sum it up. Then you'd come into 2s, 3s and 4s, and eventually the whole group were involved in writing our mission statement, and I've pinned it up on my office wall because right at the beginning of the year we've all been, let's remember why we all do our job and what's what we're
that gives everyone ownership of it as well, doesn't it? Right, so it's not just top down, it's not just you will pursue this strategy coming from the board, that comes all the way up.
And 2 of the trustees were involved in that, and actually what we're going to do is at the next board meeting we're going to ask all the trustees to write it and see how they marry up.
We talk about that quite a lot, because if you get everyone in a room and then it turns out no one's really, it's not a joined up approach, then that mission statement really needs to be looked at again.
I think everybody's got to be involved, and that's why we said the board needs to be involved in it too. A couple of the trustees were at the training, but not everybody could make it. So we did say we'll take it to the board and we're going to ask them to all write one, and then we're going to hope fingers crossed that what they say and what our staff team say is all aligned.
Yeah.
That's really what we want to achieve at Run With It, that statement. So, but that is really useful.
Yeah.
It's no matter how big or small your trustees or your staff is, I think everybody understanding this is what we want to achieve. What do we do here at our charity? What is the outcome? What do we, what's the... And so it was really useful, and I would advise anybody to do that. It's a good one.
Well, that could be really interesting though, because someone could write something down that isn't maybe what you're doing at the moment, but is something that you could do maybe in the future. It might be a good way to get everyone's...
I think we could do it again.
Yeah.
I'd like to do it again, maybe in a couple of years' time. So,
and it's such a simple way to get feedback.
Really, because actually everyone played a part in what, and even to the point where it might be the particular words you use, because one word to one person can mean a lot. Yeah. And to another person, well, I think we should use this, but actually everybody played a part in bringing it together. So I felt that was a really rewarding thing for our staff team to do.
And how many young people are you working with at the moment?
That's a really good question. We've just done our annual report, and I'm going to say over 2,000 young people.
Wow.
Last year. Yeah, we made contact with 2,000 young people. So, and actually that shows just under a third of growth, which is phenomenal growth in 1 year. We did open 3 new sites because we're now, just in September, we now operate from Humberside Airport as well. So we're using the power of an airport. So we talk about sport being really powerful, but actually an airport's incredibly powerful. Yeah. So we're delivering every week from Humberside Airport now on our education programmes, which is really exciting because... You'll be aware there'll be loads of young people that come and have never been to an airport before. We've got lovely space. The airport have been amazing partners in what we're trying to do. They're very supportive. And so we look at planes, we look at the physics behind planes, but then we look at timings, schedules, accelerations. Really but not only that, we go in and go, what snack are we going to have for the plane? You've got to do a proper real life money skill in the shop. Oh, wow. You've got a budget. We do a mock check-in. So, it's brilliant. It's a really, really good program.
It puts maths and budgeting in context, doesn't it?
It's real life.
So many times with my son, he enjoys maths, but he sort of thinks in real life, when would I use this? It's pointless, and he doesn't like to do things that he thinks are pointless. But if you put it in that context, in that environment... That's when he's realising he's got to budget and understand money. Because actually quite a lot of our young people... when I've said, well, how would you do this if you went to a shop? And unfortunately, just the way the world is now, a lot of young people go, I've got a card. They don't handle cash.
And they tap the card. Yeah. And listen, I've been a mum myself and I've done it, so I'm not going to judge, but that's the problem in the world. But actually, that's still your money, it's still your budget, and it's still going to be in your bank account. So there really are important skills to understand what that adds up to. Life skills, managing a budget, just knowing what your budget is, learning to live within it, how to use it, how to make the most of it. And that's what charities are so good at as well, making use of the resources they've got, because funding's so hard won and hard to come by, and it's translating all of that, isn't it? Right. Well, it is. Even I know it sounds crazy, but even at an airport, you use the 24-hour clock. We don't say 6:30 p.m. We say 18:30. Yeah. And we all take that for granted as adults, but a lot of our young people really struggle with that. Yeah. In a classroom they'll struggle, but actually once they're there at an airport, they understand now. Yeah. Because if it says 6:30, does that mean 6:30 this evening or tomorrow morning? And that's why we use the 24-hour clock. So all of them, right, that makes sense now. And it still can be quite confusing, the 24-hour clock for a lot of people, but we're using it in everyday life to distinguish the difference between PM and AM. So even looking at flight times like that is, it's real life skills. Yeah.
Well, there's so much you can learn at an airport when you think about it.
So much going on there. They're such busy places and full of so many characters as well.
Yeah, they are. We go in the restaurant, and everyone's involved, the lady in the shop, people in the restaurant. Security. When you park your car, how much does it cost? And again, working that out, what is it per 24 hours? And if you're here for 5 days, it's a maths problem. Currency exchange. Yeah. How confusing can currency exchange be? Yeah. But again, it's all things that, hopefully our young people will go to an airport one day and might have to. So all of these skills they're going to need to know. And they are assessed on all of that in school as well. So, yeah.
And to think about the different components that make the airport a whole, it's everything, isn't
it?
The
aviation industry, the aviation industry is a massive, growing industry across the world. And there are thousands upon thousands of different jobs. And we have an airport half an hour away from here. all our young people are not aware.
That's
100%.
there.
Yeah. And there's and you know, there's even a simulator at the airport where you are learning to fly in a flight school in a simulator. Well, do we know? Do our young
I
people
did not know?
There you go. And that's the other reason why we want to take them to all these different places so they can understand the employability, the jobs, what you might need to get to go there. I think a lot of people think to become a pilot you need a degree. Well, you don't. Do our young people go, oh, you don't have to go to university to become a pilot? No. So these are all the really key messages as well. So not only we do the education, but we're trying to inspire, motivate and broaden their horizons to go, there's a big wide world, half an hour down our road. Because actually we do a lot of work with special needs, and obviously some of our special needs children are quite limited with what they'll be able to do within employment in the future. But there was one particular young man who came to the airport and he loved the idea of, now I'm really not going to talk in technical terms here, but it's the car that pushes the plane back from its standing position. Really not technical at all. You'd think I would have learnt by now. And he absolutely loved that job. And what we realised is, speaking with school and parents, is, but that is a job he can do. And I found that the most rewarding day ever, because he's come to an airport, he's not been to Humberside Airport before, he's seen a job, and he's realised that is a job that he could aspire to do. And without Run With It, that might not happen. So they're the kind of things that are really important as well, about getting them to, you know, see all these different environments.
I love hearing the stories. This is what Ollie said from he said about the stories behind the organisation, and they can sometimes get lost, can't they? But
they're the most important ones to share.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they really are.
Yeah, we said to Ollie, didn't we? It's about the impact and showing that.
Because I think the stories, Ollie will be the same with Tigers Trust and other things. You know, sometimes you just about numbers, and you rightly asked me, Gerry, about numbers that come through our door. Absolutely, that's important. However, I could have half those numbers and far more powerful story, or I could have double those numbers but no real story. And I think that's really important to remember. And I am all about, you know, loads of people could come through, but if we've not had impact, but you could have a lot less number and massive impact. And those stories about that young person there, or other stories that we could share, that's the true evaluation of a charity, because that's the real life people that are involved.
Thank you so much. And that is one of the strongest messages. I think that's really been interesting for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa.
No worries at all.